Hey friends, today we're looking at the current altcoin situation and we're checking out how things might progress in the future, what I expect, whether there will even be another altcoin season, and which altcoins will become interesting. We're essentially looking at a complete portfolio with the top 10 cryptocurrencies that I currently find interesting. We're really making sure to set a good foundation here, ensuring we have solid cryptos included. Maybe also some that are a bit more specific in the meme sector, AI, RWA, or something like that. I think this video can definitely provide you with a lot more value. So friends, go ahead and leave a like and a comment now. Thanks for your support, I enjoy doing this, but I also rely on you. It goes hand in hand here, so thank you very much. Then let's first take a look at the situation to see if anything can change at all. Our situation is quite clear. We have indeed risen well. With Bitcoin, however, we've really only been in a very, very tough corrective phase for quite some time now. Now it's really been going on for too long. It really isn't fun anymore. People speculated that we would see an altcoin rally at the beginning of the year because the first and second quarters have always been good. At the moment, however, it doesn't look like that at all. We now have other players in the market that have mainly pushed Bitcoin up in recent months. Honestly, there wasn't much left for Bitcoin. This is of course quite clear, noticeable in Bitcoin dominance. We are now at 64%. It's simply a very, very painful time for Bitcoin. And on the other hand, we also see that we have had a very strict monetary policy in recent years. That's why we simply have significantly less risk capital for these smaller assets. And these are all factors that have simply contributed to the fact that we haven't performed well with Bitcoin. But that can also change nicely again. I mean, just because we have Bitcoin ETFs doesn't mean we won't see an altcoin season. That's also a narrative that many people are just talking about these days, that we won't see an altcoin season because we simply don't see any more rotation. In my opinion, that's complete nonsense. Because even in 2021, during the bull run, when we had a huge altcoin season, there was already Tesla, which only bought Bitcoin. There was MicroStrategy, these are companies that only bought Bitcoin back then. This money was not rotated into Bitcoin, and yet we had an altcoin season. So don't let yourself be misled by this narrative that we supposedly can no longer see an altcoin season. One simply has to understand that the altcoin season is really completely oriented towards monetary policy, global liquidity, and the monetary policy of the USA. The monetary policy was really tough. We had such a tight monetary policy the whole time. A lot of money was taken out of the markets here. However, we now see that by May, we will definitely no longer pursue this tight monetary policy. And then we will probably slowly start bringing money back into the markets. Because what you need to know is that the USA has to repay over $9 trillion this year. And they can only repay it by printing new money. They have no other choice but to do so again. To start up the money printer to print new money here. And that, in turn, completely boosts our Bitcoin. This correlation is extremely important. This must not be forgotten here. The altcoin season is completely tied to the expansion of money. We were able to rise with Bitcoin despite tight monetary policy, but with Bitcoin, something like that is simply not really possible. Additionally, one must simply say we have only risen with Bitcoin because of the ETFs and because of MicroStrategy. Without these two players, we would not have risen nearly as much with Bitcoin. These are major players who were able to bring liquidity into the markets. The regular investors couldn't do that because of this tight monetary policy. Personally, I think it would be really fatal to sell now. In such fear-driven situations, one should do the opposite of the masses and slowly start accumulating again if, of course, you still have capital that you can invest. We are simply oversold, especially with Bitcoin, we are way too oversold. I still see huge opportunities here. We now have this platform where we have over 30 indicators, whether we have already seen the bull trap or not. And so far, out of 30 indicators, not a single one has triggered. We haven't seen our bull run top with Bitcoin yet. This means we will also perform with altcoins because we still need to perform with Bitcoin. Now, of course, the question is, which altcoins are interesting? And that is also one of the most important questions today. Because you know very well, I used to like talking about low caps. But currently, especially in these market phases, it doesn't make any sense at all. This here is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and I would simply focus on Bitcoin dominance between 74% and 50%. Only invest in high caps. And that's why today we're only looking at larger cryptocurrencies. Honestly, it doesn't make sense to invest in low caps here. They don't get anything from the market anyway. The money always rotates, first from Bitcoin, then into the mid caps, and afterwards into the low caps. And in this area, the mid caps are simply interesting. In the area below 50% Bitcoin dominance, if we fall that low, one could slowly start dealing with the low caps. Only in this area of Bitcoin dominance does it become interesting for the low caps. And that's how I approach the whole thing. I am currently only investing in large, solid, fundamentally good projects that are already highly valued. because they simply receive capital first. If we then see the drop, with Bitcoin dominance, I would shift from around 50 to 46% Bitcoin dominance into the mid caps. And also again through 10 to 40% Bitcoin dominance. That's my game plan. And in the past, as I said, I have already checked this. And that's how it went in the past as well. And that was one of the best ways to rotate the money here, and how to extract as much as possible from these bubbles. And I would approach the whole thing systematically. First of all, Bitcoin. Clearly, Bitcoin is the most important in the portfolio. It is the foundation. We are now first setting the foundation with solid plays that simply give us a certain level of security. Bitcoin should be valued the highest. After that, I would also take Ethereum and Solana. I would include Ethereum in the portfolio, even if it is not performing so well currently. But we see that Donald Trump has a great interest in Ethereum. His company is buying it themselves. We also know that the RWA narrative will be one of the biggest narratives in the coming years, and especially BlackRock and so on are pushing this narrative really high. These players will, of course, also process this via the blockchain. They will select targeted projects, and I am almost certain they will also run a lot of RWA projects through Ethereum via the biggest player here. In the background, some connections have already been seen, from BlackRock's Larry Fink to RWA projects in connection with Ethereum. That's why I think Ethereum should not be overlooked here. And we simply include Solana in the portfolio because Solana has proven to be the biggest competitor to Ethereum. And Solana simply gets new, fresh AI projects and such more often than Ethereum. Both are good things, especially since memes now run exclusively on Solana, where Ethereum is completely irrelevant. However, I think both will remain in the coming months. I don't believe that Ethereum will disappear overnight. No, Ethereum is too big for that. And they are also diligently working. And I think Ethereum will also perform well in the future once people see what they are truly capable of. Then we simply have a solid project here that enhances the portfolio. Sui. Oh, by now everyone knows it. Sui has also been correcting very strongly, making it an interesting project. I like Sui so much because they really deliver. The numbers speak for themselves. Look at this inconspicuous activity. Worked up from 10 million TVL to a billion. We were already at nearly 2 billion here. PWL. That's crazy. We have really seen an increase within a year here. In terms of total value locked, something we've never seen before, seen huge activity and real utility. That's exactly what we want to see. Then we have projects like Chainlink. Also absolutely a solid thing, and Chainlink is integrated everywhere in the crypto space. It could also be placed somewhere in the RWR sector, but I would simply label it as a solid play. Yes, in my opinion, it also has quite good security because we are just so dominant here. Just with the oracles, Chainlink manages oracles worth $30 billion. That's significantly more than the Chainlink market cap. Chainlink is completely market leading here, and almost every other crypto project uses Chainlink's oracles. A super solid thing, grows primarily with the crypto market. When the crypto market grows, Chainlink always grows with it. Then we have IONET as an AI giant here. IONET is primarily a render competitor, offering GPUs where other people can rent GPUs, train AIs, or do other things with this computing capacity. I find IONET so damn interesting because they really have usage and are extremely affordable for the ratio. Take a look at this revenue here, how we have continuously increased within a few months. It's so incredible. We were able to increase it to the point where we are generating nearly $70,000 daily in revenue. That's really crazy. We don't often have real usage, especially in the AI sector. IONET is truly the absolute market leader in this regard, even in these tough market phases. Currently, the demand for cloud computing remains extremely stable, at least with IONET, and I find that really, really good. Then we have Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is something very special here again. It is a decentralized platform where you can trade. Actually, that sounds like nothing new, but they really have insane utility. They really have a top system, and you can simply see that in the revenue system. They generate $1.3 million in profit per day, and with that, they also generate more revenue per day than Solana and Ethereum combined. And for such a fresh project, that's crazy. Truly, absolutely insane numbers. That's why this thing is so brilliant. They have a buyback mechanism. They have people who stake here specifically because they get percentages here, a good foundation that can definitely become truly gigantic. Then we have a meme project here, namely SPX 6900. This is basically a meme coin that is supposed to reflect the S&P 500. And accordingly, one expects a market cap here of far beyond, more than $100–200 billion. So, an interesting narrative. I really like this meme project. because the community is extremely strong, and we have not been penalized nearly as much here. As with the other projects, especially with the other projects, which are most projects, over 90 to 95% in the negative, that is by far not the case here. We are holding up too steadily. I think if we see another meme corporation, this project will be absolutely leading. I can also imagine that we could see market caps of far more than 20 to 30 billion here, in the right meme coins, and then we would have another good RWR project. And Ondo Undo also appeals to me so damn much because it's just the largest RWR project is over $1 billion in TVL. Really massive. A partnership with BlackRock, also officially working with Trump's company, originates from the USA. Really, these are things that are damn important for an RWA project. Undor has done well, reports good numbers, currently has the most important partnerships in the RWA sector. What more could you want? And then we have VeChain. I include VeChain because VeChain is again a completely different project compared to these other projects, and it would simply fit well into this portfolio. The thing with VeChain is simply that they have a huge community. VeChain grows completely with the market. We rise with VeChain when the market rises anyway, but we rise quite well. We have a good community, huge people. That's what ultimately defines VeChain, what pushes VeChain. VeChain is active in the AI sector, in the RWA sector. Everywhere they have their fingers in the pie and simply grow along. A fundamentally solid project where I definitely see success in the long term. And I think these are now 10 projects. This is how one could currently set up their portfolio. They have become very affordable and will certainly perform very well, very nicely in the next rise. I'm almost certain that you can't really go wrong with these projects. And at this point, I would be interested to know which project do you think is missing from this portfolio? Maybe there are indeed 1 or 2 projects that I haven't included here today but are really important. Feel free to write that in the comments so that I might address these projects in the future. Yes, and otherwise I would say thank you for watching and see you next time, friends. Bye.